Fandoms have existed since the beginning of time. There was probably a fandom for pyramids back then, and over time they've proven to be some of the worst things to ever happen on the internet. There's probably a laundry list of horror stories that have come from different fandoms, and although the majority is just looking to connect with other people with the same interests, there's a very loud minority that has tainted the image of so many fandoms. With fandoms, there are three traits of toxicity: obsession, elitism, and gatekeeping. Many fandoms tend to have very obsessive people within it, usually fandoms of media that target a younger audience. This has led to a bunch of issues. Younger people who are more obsessive tend to be very parasocial, and thus would do very crazy things in the name of whatever they like. Shipping, for example, is an incredibly weird thing, or at least it can be. If it's characters in media that are of age, it's not that bad, but when it's, say, My Hero characters or real people, that's when we run into an issue. I shouldn't have to explain the first one, and you shouldn't be assuming people's romantic interests for your own personal satisfaction. You have to be next level parasocial to put two people together. I'm sure you all remember the whole Septiplier thing. Parasocial relationship has caused so many people to do so many crazy things. Dream, for example, had to call the cops because somebody literally put a tracker on one of his relatives' car. How abhorrently psychotic do you have to be to put a tracker on your favorite creator's relative's car? Extremely parasocial people will do things like doxing and harassing people who don't like the thing they like. They'll also do things like make really weird art of you. That parasocialness can also lead to unrealistic expectations, which led to a lot of Dream's fans hating on him after he did a face reveal because they weren't the person who they thought he was. That's kind of the issue. He wasn't who you thought he was, so you had an issue with that. You made the assumption that he was going to look a certain way, and that's not the case, but you're mad at him for it. Stan culture is something else. Elitism is another issue in a lot of fandoms and communities. A lot of people think they're better than others because they've known it for longer or like it a certain way. It's a really big issue in the car community. A lot of manual transmission elitists out there, and it's incredibly annoying because you don't need to know how or to even like driving a manual transmission to be considered a car enthusiast. You're not better because you drive a manual transmission or you have a rear-wheel drive car. You're not better than everybody else because you've known a TV show or a comic book or a series longer than other people. People discover things at different times, and they shouldn't be scolded or ridiculed for that. Elitism and gatekeeping kind of go hand in hand, but gatekeeping has its own issues. I can't imagine a scenario where gatekeeping something is actually good. It's an overall net negative for any fandom. I don't remember too much about it, but there was this issue where in the Steven Universe community, there was an artist who drew Rose, and she drew her skinny, and that artist got a lot of hate for it. So much so that she actually self-deleted. It should never get to a point where something like that happens because an interest you share is expressed a different way. Who cares if Rose was drawn differently? That's such a non-issue. People are free to express their interests in whatever way they want. As long as it's not hurting anybody or offending anybody to a certain degree, it shouldn't be a problem. How are you going to decide that somebody else shouldn't draw a certain character in a different style to her canon one? You can't gatekeep expression. Much like elitism, there are people who won't consider you a fan of something due to your lack of knowledge, which is just incredibly stupid. You can have interests in things even if your knowledge of it isn't as broad as others. Who are you to consider somebody a fan of something just because they don't know as much as you do? Is McDonald's not considered food because it's processed? Who made you the expression enlightener? You're free to interpret something however you want, but you can't govern how somebody else does. And you're not better than others because you think the way you see things is right. That's just your opinion, and if you can't respect others, then you should probably keep yours to yourself. There's a ton of crazy fandoms out there, some worse than others, but you shouldn't let the loud minority dictate the reputation of said fandom, nor should you let it ruin your experience with one. Is there a dirt fandom? That'd be really funny.